I can't always say it was always reggae.
I
It is
know.
just generally music, you know.
Yeah.
I had a niche for great music. I used to listen to a lot of R&B music. And, you know, at the time, R&B was like,
Mainstream.
you know, mainstream. And I think getting inspired from that, and we always at these magazines that always have like your lyrics and everything. So from there, I was like, okay, so as an artist, you need to know how to write.
We've known there's Anela Jahmena. She's from Sounds of the South. Sounds of
The South.
The South, yes. But a lot of people, a lot of masses got to know you through The Rise. Explain The Rise, because it's a beautiful album. I think it's one of the best reggae albums in the world.
Greetings once again in the divine name of His Imperial Majesty, your man Emperor Haile Selassie King Emmanuel I the First. Reggae Connect Africa is the program, and with me today in the studio is the lovely, the vivacious, the beautiful, the sweetness and the sexiness, Empress.
Soul Sister Sakani here. Greetings, everyone. Rico, I think we have to come here every day for me to get that intro.
Oh yeah,
Every day. Greetings,
more
everyone.
life, more blessings.
Yeah.
How have you been? How's been the week?
I'm tired, but
You're
we're
tired.
here. We're alive. You know, reggae keeps us busy. You
True
know,
that.
it's been crazy, but we're here. Another episode. And how have you been?
Well, like you saying,
Yeah.
give thanks for life on a day. You know, when we wake
Yeah,
up in the
yeah.
morning, Isis, we sing in the afternoon, at night, you know,
Yep.
give thanks.
Yeah.
Never forgetting the wonderful love that Africa is giving us, Mama Africa, you know.
Thank you, Africa.
So,
Yeah.
but then on a sad note, you know, the reggae community, we lost the legendary,
legendary,
elder
yeah.
Kokoti, you know.
Mr. Scott.
Mr.
Calvin
Scott, George
yeah.
Scott, you know.
Yeah.
Man, he's been with some ailing health for
a
quite
while,
some time, you
yeah,
know, and
for a
then
while.
finally Zion, he's gone to Zion.
Yeah.
Trod on.
Yeah, man. You know, I was listening to that tune of his, I'm coming home or I'm going home to Mount Zion. And I was like, wow, man, we're going to miss him. But
the music
he's
lives
not gone.
forever.
Yes,
The
he's not
music-
gone. The music lives on. And like they say, Rasta never dies.
It can.
You know, he'll
We
be with
multiply.
us. We multiply. We multiply.
Yeah, man. So from Africa all the way to the Caribbean, the Jamaica, we say, you know, to the legend and the family and the whole
family,
reggae
yeah.
fraternity as a whole. From Africa with love, we send in our condolences to the Scott family, and we say, rest in peace and rest in perfect power, Elder Kokoti.
Rest in music, brother.
Rise in music.
Yeah,
still,
rise.
you know,
Yes, rise in music.
So
Yes,
today,
but today-
you know. So remember,
Yeah.
we're connecting everything, you know, from where you have life, you have everything that say, for you to die is because you've lived. Death defines life, and I know the elder, he had a beautiful musical life in all his career, you know. So
Beautiful,
we're coming back home
Let's come back home,
in the
Rico.
studio. Remember, our quest is to make sure we bring you nothing but the very best in the business, the best in the game, homegrown, homebrewed, international,
Yay.
international,
Born everywhere.
everywhere in the studio today is the majestic, the fantastic, the sweetest,
beautiful.
one of the sweetest, the most beautiful voices
Humble.
that can serenade you reggaematically.
Yeah, it's a new word, reggae.
Reggaematically.
You heard it first on Reggae Africa Connect, baby.
Introduce.
Ladies and gentlemen, amanene namanendekas. We have the beautiful, Rico said all of it, Anela Jahmena.
I was waiting for the drum roll, like, yeah.
We need to get a drum here. We need to get a drum here, Anela. How are you, my sister?
I'm good. It's great to be here.
Welcome to Reggae
I've
Connect
been watching
Africa.
Reggae Connect.
Yeah.
I think I saw it when you guys had done Franco, and I was like, wow, this is a beautiful setup. I think I'm just marveled by the uniqueness of creativity that comes out from young people in the reggae fraternity as well, and how we have really fought for the space, to be here.
To be here. And we give thanks for you to honor the invitation. I remember our first episode, we spoke about Anela, how we would want to see her on big stages and blah, blah, blah.
Town's finest.
Forget big stages. She is sitting right here. I'm like, I can touch her,
It's the biggest stage. We toast to life. We toast to wealth. We toast to prosperity. Reggae Connect Africa is a big stage too,
Yeah.
Look, Born, enough times people just know the artists from their music, and what they post on social media. Sometimes you post just to get views, and then the real you, the real life, nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
So when we have her here, this is the kind of intimacy that we want. These are the kind of, this space that's why I'm saying this is the bigger stage, because now we get to know the person behind the music and what the music is doing for her, So my first question to you is, growing up in Khayelitsha.
Yes.
Cape Town is a very rough and violent city. So you growing up in a neighborhood like Khayelitsha, what inspired you to say, let me do reggae?
I can't always say it was always reggae.
I know.
It is just generally music, I had a niche for great music. I used to listen to a lot of R&B music.
All right.
And, at the time, R&B was like,
Mainstream.
Mainstream. And I think getting inspired from that, and we always at these magazines that always have like your lyrics and everything. So from there, I was like, okay, so as an artist, you need to know how to write. So I was kind of like inspired to say, oh, let me write. But I didn't really know what I was shaping my writing towards until I think a certain point in life where I needed to also like find a space to say the words that I can't really say. And it became easier to say them, within music. It was like, I was not held by something behind.
Okay.
To not say certain words because the music itself was like a
was inspiring also.
liberating tool.
All right.
And then when I got into high school, I think this is when I got introduced to reggae music.
How many years back was that?
Oh, that was 2008. Between 2008 and 2009, I get to interface with the reggae community beyond just knowing Rastas. I've seen them on my street. Just a curiosity of like how beautiful these people look, but then there's always a stigma, of like the herb, and you always want to shy away. But we always found ways to go and sit at the shelter and have like Rasta, cook food, and talk about being Rasta. And we always thought it was just pure madness because they would be talking about things at the time when we were young we didn't understand.
True.
And I think I was more drawn to it because there was a stage now, whatever I had I had acquired from my own practices. Funny enough, I used to like every night when I washed dishes, I would wash them and then I would use the spoons as my own mics. I practiced being in this platform. So I would say I spoke my life into existence in a way because I used to literally enjoy, even at school, presenting myself like in a presentation situation. And my friend Alita would say, Anela, I'm going to be your interviewer. You can be that artist. And I always knew that I wanted to be an artist. And I just didn't know which route I would choose. But reggae resonated so much because even my late brother loved reggae music.
True.
And I was able to tell from there that, there's something called roots rock reggae, and there's something called dancehall, and they each reflect a certain time and certain space. And if I want to conjoin in any of these and bring, these generations together, then I would have to learn what you call dancehall, which is, the fast pace.
Yeah.
And which was something very strange for a woman to actually want to attempt, especially somebody who, because there's this thing was about being Rasta. You can stand on stage if you're not into the movement and listen to a reggae artist and still not hear a word. So I was like, when I first discovered what actually this person is saying, I realized this is actually words. Words that I could also write and words that I could also implement.
Words that
but
you
now,
know.
yes, I could actually put it in a faster beat. And the first song I ever wrote was Njengamanzi, with a sister called Righteous. At the time, we were growing up in this group called Dungeon Affair. So I think reggae resonated so much with me because there was Ulaki Dube. My mom loved Ubabo Benning Spear, and she used to compare me with the backing artists. She would be like, "You are not live like that one, man." And this is why I never did last in the industry of being a backup artist. I think I explored with the likes of Sugar and Judgment, but I was like, no.
I can't be behind the curtain.
I can't be behind the this guy or this woman. I have to stand there
I have
because
to shine.
I have not.
I have to shine.
Yes, yeah, nothing wrong with
I
that.
have to shine.
Yes, I always see my name in lights. It might sound a bit
you.
arrogant,
Thank you.
but there's this comedy that used to play called Taina. And so that song used to really hit the spot when she would be singing it. I always want to see my name in lights. Now this gonna stop me.
Yeah.
See, I will go crazy. Taina. I always sing that I'll be a star. So exactly, that's what's happening.
You know what? I have an idea. Let's stop asking questions. Let's just let her sing.
Oh
the
my
whole 45 minutes, please.
No.
Remember
just
here,
let her sing, guys.
remember
Did
here
you
we
hear
need,
that?
but what we want is
I don't
we,
mind.
there
I'm
is-
sure the masses won't mind too.
There is things that she needs to explain
I
to
know,
us.
but did you hear
because
that, Rico?
I
Did you hear
did.
that?
I did.
Yeah.
Please stop singing for now.
Yes. Okay. Guys,
Let's talk. Unwavering.
let's talk. Okay. Before we get into anything, you started singing you were saying in 2000 but roughly you have like 16, 17 years in the business. Imagine, she's still young, but she already has those years behind her. You started with Sounds of the South. Let's start there. What is Sounds of the South, and how did you get involved in that movement?
So Sounds of the South is a political arts collective. We use music as a tool to organize and advocate for social change. So Sounds of the South, I think, really shapes the direction in which my music is taken, really, because there was always something offish about listening to music that didn't really speak to me, and I didn't know at the time that it was actually said that you have a critical eye or you are a critical thinker, these terms. So, and Sounds of the South, kind of like a school of thought, kind of like compassed, a lot of educational tools that allowed me the space to actually shape and actually know how now to describe my music as reggae, hip hop, and soul, because you find an element of that in some of my work, and getting into sounds. I think it was a point in time where there was a lot of outbreaks, xenophobic outbreaks at the time, and in fact, the existence of sounds comes as a response that seeks to understand, what leads people to behave in a certain way, and to actually connect the dots, from the reaction of the people and actually what it is that makes people behave as that, And so in us unpacking our history as a country that comes from a history of oppression that still is finding it hard to transition from
That
that point,
element.
element, and in that way, us unpacking our own experiences, we were able to bring together young people in a space called Toi Toi Live.
Yeah.
And we were also able to bring together, young women in a space called Rebel Sister Cypher. And so the Rebel Sister Cypher's focus was more on women building and, having a space that is owned by women, and women are able to own the narrative of the space. So while also engaging in the overall community struggles that are happening, and how do we then inspire young people to not stop dreaming and to envision a future without oppression. And the only way they could know how is how we were able to unpack our own oppression and find them resonating to the music. And in that way, they will be inspired to look for solutions themselves. So that's basically Sounds of the South.
All right. So you speak about change so much on your socials, and with the work that you do with women. You are a daughter, but also you are a mother, So that building that bridge, and wanting the change from where you are from to where you want, and everything that is now. Where is it not happening?
I don't.
You've got to remember you are on the ground.
Yeah.
You are on the ground as a mother, as a daughter, as a woman,
yeah.
but also as a musician, but also, you in everything that you do, you're also motivating young girls, young women, young mothers. You're doing all that, so maybe
Where does it come from, the inspiration?
not really the inspiration, but what problems do you have in now identifying that there is a young 12-year-old who's got potential to do this and this
but
and
they
that,
can't,
but they can't go because the family
this,
doesn't
yeah.
want, the community doesn't want, and the country also doesn't want, so
I think what we've kind of like done over the years as Sounds is to, the idea of change and things not being the same is always a daunting one. It seems like a far-fetched dream, and that's why people always lack the motivation to work on the dream. And so for us, it was like also a sense of responsibility for us to actually make what we do very attractive,
Yes.
very vibrant,
Own
and own it, because to be honest, what we were sharing is our lived experiences.
Yes.
So they can be no better teacher of anything than yourself. Because you go through these things. Like I remember when we wrote a song called "Darkness Lurking Every Corner," because we were required to write a song around the theme of gender-based violence and femicide. So darkness was actually a depiction of what actually is happening outside, because you could never trust that you get off an airport and someone is standing there and offering you a ride, and it's probably cheaper. You can go inside. I remember this because I was there yesterday at the airport and thinking to myself, this is the easiest way to go home, because I would now have to wait for an Uber that might actually not come because of the time.
yeah.
But now I do not trust this person enough to go inside the car.
But I need to get
But
out
I
of
need
here.
to get out of here, because the more I'm here is the more it's late, and it's the more the airport security is just closing out people. So when you've encountered what it feels not to be safe, to live constantly with your back looking over your
Just
shoulder.
checking.
You know,
as a woman in Africa.
yes, you are able to unpack it, you know, in a way that even an individual sitting at home right now can resonate to that.
Yeah,
because
relate,
it's a
yeah.
lived experience, and we go through it every time. And I think with the days and age of social media, it becomes even more and more dangerous. Our lives become more and more precarious because there's different views in women advocating for safety, for their own safety and security, and in advocating for the right to live, you know, because there will be people to defend, you know, how you place the context. Like I could be like, you know what, men are trash, you know, because that is the reaction of my anger, you know, because something has happened right now to me. And I'm now supposed to not say men are trash because according to society, not all
yes,
men are
not
trash.
all men
But
are
now
Not
my
according to society. It's a
now,
true life
my
experience.
thing,
That's
I'm saying
another
not
story.
according to society, because society sums up a group of people,
Yes,
not
yes.
individuals, you know. And you'll find that in people defending, you know, that one or myself, because I know I can never do that, you know, there's culprits hiding behind that same campaign. And whenever women end up going out there and actually being vocal about what they don't approve in society and how they get treated or how their lives become at stake each and every day. Because you might wake up and there's someone in your room. Like a lady was sharing online that she was in a hotel and the same person who had registered her in was the same person trying to break into her room. They don't know her, never met her. She could have died on that day there. And when women speak out about that experience and talk about many other experiences of women that they've lived as endangered species, then it becomes what? A chance for reactionary people to deflect and say, you there's this hate and so on. But I'm like, have you ever placed yourself in the shoes of these people, that it is not as easy as you want to claim it, you know? Because I could actually be in my house and somebody would walk in because they saw me vulnerable because I'm a woman, you know? And I think that the school of thought and the education that we want to place out there is that of us not being seen as vulnerable people, but you know, as people that contribute a huge value, you know, in society, because we are caregivers, you know. Apparently there's this thing of always nature clashing with reality. Naturally, I'm not for those. I'm not those people, because there's so many things that have been said that are naturally, and they still stand as
Unnatural.
and very oppressive.
Yeah. But also you toured a lot with Sounds of the South, né? And then you went solo. Were you also, you'll correct me, you went no, you were traveling with Sounds of the South, you went solo, I stand for correction. How was it moving from being with the group of the nature of Sounds of the Sound and now standing on your own as Anela Jahmena?
It didn't really come as something new, because I think even when, by the way, I'm still with Sounds of the South. I've always held a spot, like in exploring how far I can get on my own and exploring how far you get with, you know, a collective of people. And I can tell you that what seems more hard at this point is the idea of being placed as a celebrity, I think. Yeah, because in Sounds of the South, every effort that you put in, you know, it gets to be celebrated collectively. It doesn't get to be the spotlight on Anela, you know, the spotlight is on all of us, you know, and it teaches something about, you know, bringing everybody together, but also leaving nobody behind, you know, because I think the capitalist world has taught us that only certain individuals get to shine, and it's a good thing. You know,
Yes, yeah.
the inequalities that exist, they are natural themselves, of which they are not. They are systematic in a way. So I think it has been my own shifting from my own humbleness that comes from Sounds of the South, and coming into this world where you are adorned with all these
Coming out of the love.
Embracing the queenness.
it's not me downplaying who I am or the impact that I have on people with my work, but I would also still like to relate to people as people,
True.
and not find myself placed on a pedestal, because I still want people to accept me and my flaws,
human being, yeah.
but I can't do that if already I allow them to grow the pedestal into, one of these tallest buildings in the world. No, I don't. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support, but I also want to relate to people, because I think this is the suffocating thing about being an artist as well, because it isolates you so much that even when you are in a moment of drowning, you cannot.
You can't
Say-
express
You
to
can't.
somebody.
Yes, you can't
say,
express
hey,
it because
I need
you're like,
help. Yeah.
who's this? Like,
Yeah.
how can
Anela,
she be?
wow.
But you're
She's got
human at the
everything.
end.
She's got everything. Like, what is everything? What is everything?
You can break, you can bend, you
yeah.
can feel.
I
You're not
remember
made of steel.
my mom was watching. She likes these movies, very strange movies, scary movies. And there's just something I took away from this old man when he talks about the beginning of, this village tale of how the world began, and how this goddess bird used to ask each individual that existed, on earth, from animals, birds, and so on, about what would you want, what would you want for yourself, like, and then the others would want beautiful colors, a fierce voice, and then when it came to asking the person what they wanted, they placed everything on the table, but it was the eye that could not see, that what the eye cannot see,
see,
that
yes.
the bird saw within the person, that there was a hollow space, a space that will always long, for something, and yearn for something. And no matter how much they achieve or how much they get,
Can't be
it
quenched.
can never quench the thirst of yearning, and that is greed. And I think if we work on ourselves enough to love and accept the positions in which we are placed in time and space, because Anela Jahmena wasn't always this buzz, and it got to a point where it was frustrating that you've put in the work and nobody recognizes the work. But a silver lighting came through Maximum Styles. They were like, we've been watching, we've been seeing, and this
Big
is
up Pepsi in Maximum Styles.
yeah, big up Pepsi. He's the Don. Like, I admire his work ethics, because he still fits in that characteristic of family. Like,
In
okay,
the
I know we are
business.
business
Yes,
partners, and we have to. There's always a line that's drawn. Like, you draw the line. Like, okay, now Goku, we are serious. This is work, but then you always know that, this person I can count on. And I think a lot of times we need those people who you can say, you know what, I'm gonna be open enough to talk to this person, even though they are my boss. And I think it with Sounds as well. We didn't have a scenario where there's a boss and so on, a type of structure like that. And so it was easier for transparency to happen.
Okay. So let me catch you up on that. I love this, So remember earlier on you said that they are men, just this one person, that is gonna make you say men are bad.
what,
You know what I mean? And then when you go out, on your workshops, teaching motivation and everything, you've got this image of this man that is bad, And then on the other hand, you've got a man like Pepsi that comes in now and says that, no, Jahmena, this is us in the music. This is us in the business, So when you are teaching the little ones, how do you balance that?
Yeah, I think the biggest problem that people have is thinking that the thing is a personal attack on you.
Yes.
No. It's a personal attack on the characteristics that you hold that are trash. And when women say men who do this and this and this and this and this and this and this are trash, if you're not part of the category and the list of people that are there, then I don't think you should be even
Worried
about it.
Yeah.
But what we are getting to understand is that umntu inkunzi zazi, and the biggest thing that was hidden is the person's heart, and we are not able to clap it out and say, you see now, we see you for who you are, because women who are vocal, they always provoke something.
True.
Yes, they always provoke something because
you are not supposed to talk.
yes.
How
Yeah,
dare
like
you.
I come from
Outspoken.
I'm a Maxhosa, and I will tell you the many battles I've had with my uncles because they would be unfair, at times. And we used to watch it when we were younger, but now when we were grown, and we were also
You're like, no.
putting in contributing as to if they say, oh, there's a family member who died and so on, somebody needs to go. You are able now to afford that, And even when your moms could afford that, but they still did not see any value. Their value was
Yeah.
only seen
They
when they
didn't have
wear
a voice,
petticoaties
yeah.
and then go and burn their faces with coal and smoke and all of that. And that's only when I want it. This is umfaz. My question would be all the time that why is it that only when I achieve something what you think is hard to do, then only
Then
I
you're
get
taken
props.
seriously.
But when I'm able to meet you halfway in the same position that you're in, because money can be used as power over women, and it is something that is systematic. That is why you will find jobs like jobs that women are selling their bodies, and women still get shamed for it, and women still get shamed for sitting, at home.
At home, yes.
And the reality of the matter is we cannot identify a man who is a danger to himself, to women, and to society by the mere face of a person.
Okay.
And we know that, I think the whole idea is to start you questioning yourself. Question yourself so much that even the slightest twitch of thinking or idea that you hold that is part of the list that regard men as trash, you unlearn it from that moment. Because it's about working on yourself. Not to say that women don't have toxic traits.
True.
But
the
it's-
perpetrators.
But at that moment, we are not addressing what women are doing. And if you want a platform to do it, you do it on your own platform and not as a questioning of our platform, because
Amen.
that's exactly
Hallelujah.
what's happening right now, that women have created platforms where they exercise their own freedom of expression. And in those platforms, they get, discredited or said to be main hating. And I'm like, how do we...
It's our experience.
Yeah, we really hate you nicely, ne? We really hate you nicely. If I'm going to have kids with you and still, be a woman that dates, I'm not saying that women who don't date men hate women. Men, exactly. I'm not saying they hate men, but I'm saying if this is really true, I'm like, why can't we be divorcing you as brothers as well? Like, I could be born with you and you're a man,
Yes.
and I'll be like divorcing you
But
immediately.
you can.
You
know
know,
you can divorce
because-
your family.
You can divorce your family, but you haven't, because you still recognize
Naturally.
that there is goodness, there is goodness out there, and it comes from different and diverse people. And your only thing that you are saying is keep yourself in check.
in conversation with Anela Jahmena, Reggae Connect Africa. Email address reggaeconnectafrica@gmail.com. Facebook page.
Reggae Connect Africa, TikTok.
TikTok.
We on TikTok,
We on
baby.
TikTok, yeah.
Reggae Connect
Follow,
Africa.
like, hit the button, subscribe on YouTube, Reggae Connect Africa, you know. So, you are one very powerful vocal lady, you know. But then now let's move away from that. Let's talk about the music in you, you know. We're picking up now that some of the lyrics are from what women go through and what you stand for, you know. And then the other lyrics are just about the beauty of life as a whole, you know. So when you now take your finished product to say, now this, I'm taking it to the people, you know, as reggae, you know, what struggles are you facing as a woman doing reggae?
Yo,
It's like, yo,
Yo.
this we can't wait to hear.
I'm observing. I think I'm interfacing with two different spaces at the same time. I've been to Cape Town, grew up, bred in Cape Town, all of that, and I'm interfacing with Joburg, and realizing that actually things are not really different, you know. But we do at least have a leniency because there's Lioness Production, and the head face of Lioness Production is a woman.
Is a woman.
Hence the lioness.
Hence, you see, hence the Lioness Production. And for the longest time, I thought that, you know, all hope is lost. But understanding, you know, that also change needs patience. It needs consistency. And people who have been consistent enough can tell you that it's not all bad, you know. It's not all bad. And we are here as those sisters saying, you know what, I know you do not have the voice to actually say this, and I will say it on your behalf, you know, and I would free your voice to actually say something about or share your experience to it. So I think the music itself, like if we would talk about Phoenix, for instance, Phoenix is talking about the struggle that not everybody's gonna like you, you know, not everybody's gonna want to see the best for you, you know. And so in them not wanting to see their best, it is time to find the beacon of hope within yourself. And that is the fire that's burning.
Yeah.
And that is the fire that tells you that you cannot just sleep the whole day without knowing what the next step is. Despite how many times you have fallen, it is, you know, the many times that you will rise that determines who you are. And that is the Phoenix.
Yeah.
And when we talk about other life experiences, simply the best, you know, it speaks to my appreciation of my four mothers. I had my grandmother, you know, I had the fortunate of meeting my grandmother, but before we could really get to know each other, she fell sick and she passed away. But when I was starting to be matured, I was starting to understand the type of woman she was through stories that my mama would speak. And I realized that my mom is a reflection of her mother, and I am a reflection of my own mother.
Yeah.
The strength and resilience that I carry comes from a long line of strong women, you know. And that is why even when I speak, I speak with command. And these are traits about myself that I'm starting to embrace only now, because outside of myself, there were people observing and able to come back to me and say, this is what your voice holds to me, whether you speak or when you sing, but this is what your voice captures. And for me, I would say it's a gift that I carry from my foremothers. And I think I forgot a piece of what you were actually saying about.
Okay, we'll go back to that. Let's, because you're talking about the Phoenix and
explaining the music, the rise,
and the music.
yes.
But before you continue, all those tracks, I think for me, Nane, the rise of Anela Jahmena was through the rise. We've known you through our work, what we do. We've known there's Anela Jahmena, she's from Sounds of the South. Sounds of
The South.
The South, yes. But a lot of people, a lot of masses got to know you through the rise. Explain the rise, because it's a beautiful album. I think for me now, I think it's one of the best reggae albums in the world. So can you just explain the thought process behind the rise and how everything, because it was also through Maximum Styles, yeah.
I thought of like this idea of like, just mashing up everything. Boo, 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 boo.
The musician in you.
Let's have an album already.
But my conscience did bother me a bit. That there needed to be something about this album that actually defines Anela. I take it as a piece of puzzle to complete my life's
Musical
journey. It's a build-up from years of work, and I had to explore working differently now, because Sounds was a collective and we always had each other's back. Now I have to consult with the team, and I'm more like the boss because I tell people what to do and everything, and I don't really like it because I'd rather have...
is the biggest ego.
I'd rather have people to think for me sometimes, and they'll be like, "No, can you just think for me?" But yeah, it doesn't really separate me a lot because I'm able to apply the same work ethics as well. The rise was really the rise of Anela Jahmena.
It was, man.
I'm just discovering a lot, and it sometimes makes me want to cry. Like I'll be like, no, really, like this is how you receive this.
It's
song,
good. You have eye water. Let it come.
But you do understand what the rise, like I'm saying, it's one of the best albums. I can take a bet right now with anyone.
Don't
One
bet.
of the
Don't do
best.
bets. Don't do bets. Don't do bets.
I
Don't
am
do
confident. That's how confident I am.
If she say it, trust me. If she say it,
this is the
best
thing.
believe
I always say abantu abafana njengaye bafuna upapathiswa ngomlilo because baqala into eshushu like
No.
let's
But for the good of the music and for the good of the rise, I'm not gonna sit here and lie.
But apart from that,
yeah.
don't you marvel when you have people that come to you and
Yes.
tell you that, wow,
Yeah.
that's a beautiful project.
Yeah.
Where do you feel that, okay, my project needs to be, if they are saying my project is this good, where do you want it to be as to where it is now?
yay. Kuthiwa if the sky is the limit, me, I break that limit. I want to be over.
I once read where they said, if the sky is the limit, why are there footprints on the moon?
Yes.
Why are there footprints on the moon if the sky is the limit?
Yeah, there's like I think having people have commentary on your work, it's a huge ego boost, and so you always have to keep yourself in check between
Humble when we
gratitude
reach.
and
But
and
gratitude
just,
is a must.
yes, gratitude is a must. That's what I'm
must.
saying,
It's a must.
and actually developing that nasty character that always comes out. You know that
lady on the
that
street,
thing,
but,
I'm the Asian, and this is basically why there's a lot of conflict.
All right.
I can say here now, where I'm concerned, like where my stance is concerned, I bring something that nobody else can bring because they're not me.
True.
And they also bring something that I can bring because they are them.
They are not you.
And I am quite content with the person that I am so much that I'm not even fazed by the idea of somebody competing with me, because my biggest competition is myself.
True.
When I get out of these nice cushy studios, I have a headache to meet at home.
Yes.
And so for me to be sane, I shall not spend energy on things that are already clear.
I feel you've explained it. You've explained it, but the music itself, the project, when you finish recording, do you want it on TV? Have you done videos? Do you want it on radio? Have you taken your projects there? My question now is, after that, and having met personally people that tell you that your music is beautiful, and has that music gone to where you want it to be? Remember, you from Cape Town, Khayelitsha. Do you think your music is in Venda? Do you think it's in Malawi? It's in Zimbabwe?
You think it's in Kenya?
It's in
Ghana,
Uganda.
yeah.
If it's not there yet, it's going there. Yeah, well, if it's not
it's
there
there.
yet, it's going there. But I have a huge belief that there's somewhere out there in the world who's listening and trying to find me.
Yes.
Just like
And
Maximum
they'll find
Styles
you,
listened
yeah.
and found me. There's other people out there.
How do they find you? Where do they find you?
They sussed me out, man. You know, the energy. the
Yes,
energy
thank you. It's all you need. Energy,
When the universe has already given you, the platform, it just keeps showing off. That's all I can say.
You see this energy where it's okay, energy, nature, jaja. I think we're not being vicious enough. You see, the workshops that you do for the women, GBV, everything, that same energy. Why do you relax when it comes to pushing your own music?
That's the thing. Yeah, when people talk about relaxation, I just laugh at it, because I think the whole idea that, you see, I don't need validation and affirmations from other people, because I already know what I deliver and what I give. And sometimes, for me, it becomes important to bridge that gap of competition amongst each other by showing that I can share what you have done because I appreciate it. You really don't know what it, even like just a simple example, when I go on stage, I always love to pester organizers in terms of like, who do I come before
And after.
and after?
True.
Not because I feel that I'm bigger than anybody, but I feel I have a certain presence that can crumble
Outshine.
a fragile soul. Yes. So I always say I will take a back seat and let the person have their moment. And after that, then I can come present myself. Because I wouldn't like to feel guilty. I also have this thing of feeling guilty and seeing somebody
being,
there, in being a closed shell, because they haven't worked on talking to themselves, battling their ambition and battling. It's like a battle of ambition over being a person, and you are able to appreciate the finer things in life, whether they are delivered by you or delivered by the next person, but you appreciate them. You give flowers where it's due, because that's what's exactly that's happening. That's breaking or seeming like it's something a bridge gaps as needs. I mean, that we are not able to bridge those gaps in the reggae fraternity on its own, because I'm not able to appreciate work done because he's young sister. Sister Tenugo. Dima has something out.
Ewe.
Then like,
Ewe mfundini.
so I'm like, but you gotta have worked on yourself hard enough to know that nobody replaces you. You only replace yourself.
You are you.
Yeah, well, by choosing defeat over being victorious, we can all be victorious, But defeat only comes when you start competing a lot.
Yeah.
Then you don't compete with yourself now. And if you are placed in a pedestal, start enjoying that, and you start not working to improve or to work to build up from wherever, you know.
You know, soon you'll be on one of the biggest stages in South Africa, one of the biggest reggae festivals in South Africa, with
Annual events.
with one of your how do I put it?
Nemesis.
No, not nemesis.
Why would you bring a word like that?
No, not nemesis, but
I want it so that she can get the word right that she wants.
no, not nemesis, but an inspiration.
Compatibility. It has something with to do.
You know,
It can't be inspiration. She might be inspired by me for all we know. So you can't be saying yes.
Yes. So
you know,
You're stylish, you're a diva. And me, I know for a fact when there's two divas.
yes.
I
no,
know.
it's not.
I know when there's two
It's
divas.
not like the thing of the bull in the crowd type of situation.
no, it's not.
Get your
It's
head
not.
out of the
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, it's not.
We
It's
don't-
not that.
Please.
Yes, we are
Can we come back here?
Yeah,
Can we come back here?
Ari, we are funny tendencies.
Of not really
Yes.
liking each other for no good reason. I
But
don't know where that comes from.
In that space.
Me,
No,
frankly,
it's
I
not
think we need a
even there.
shambox there just to tap away that hate-ness in
Get
the
out.
ass. But in what she's saying,
Yes.
I think we are said to be compatible. And people have said that if anyone I would choose to be in, like, representing us as South Africa with the same energy, with the same vocal vibration
Yes.
is Anela Jahmena.
True.
I was
Can't
shocked.
have it
I was
any
shocked.
other
I was
way.
shocked. Me, I was
No,
awake.
we know.
I was awake at 3:00, man, and I saw
Yes.
the poster, and I
And
was
you were
like,
"Whoa."
guys, if my phone was not like really, one of these mobile cell phones, ne, I would be screaming here, and you would be seeing how crazy I am. My kids woke up and they were like, "What the hell?" Because I saw that, and I was like, and they're thinking like, "Yo, what's wrong? What's wrong?" And I'm like, I'm glad that sometimes when I cry, you guys wake up, because now it's time for you to go to school and leave me with my excitement.
Yeah.
And I got so excited, I was like feeling goosebumps, And then I heard there was a challenge as well.
Oh, yes.
I think when the rhythm came out, I really hadn't
I was
been
asking
confirmed
myself.
that I would be part of Catch a Fire.
That's
But
fire.
there was that thing in me that was saying,
like,
I will wait.
please.
I will wait.
And
I will
if they
wait.
don't, I mash up the place.
If I don't get my invitation,
Yeah.
then I will cry about it. But then I will enter the competition for the thingy. But
the
then,
fun of it,
fortunately,
yeah.
it came. The invitation came, and once it was confirmed, everything was confirmed. I got the poster. You see, now that was the moment I was like, yeah, we're not doing the challenge, not because we can't do the challenge.
Yes. Thank you
But
for answering
it was-
that one. Yeah.
It was me putting my greed, in check. Like when you
Like
know
you're
that
there already.
you're
so
already gonna
what?
do this,
Yeah.
Shalala.
Yeah.
because I guarantee you, I would have been part of the top 10. I would have been part of the
would
top
have.
10, and it wouldn't have been fair. No, but it wouldn't have been fair.
True.
You being part of the top 10, but
already on the
already we are
lineup,
promoting you to be on the lineup already.
It's a beautiful rhythm, and you feel
I
that,
wrote
no.
on the rhythm. Oh, actually, I wrote because Yabona life must see, we unpack it through song
As it goes.
because yes, and so I happened to be falling head over heels for this other grey-haired brother here.
Tell us more.
So I was like, no, the song will just tell you. You said I must not sing, but I want to sing the song.
Please do. Please
Oh,
do. Rico
it was
said you
like,
mustn't sing.
I'm not
Please
running
sing.
away from love this time. Oh, let me be your Bonnie and you be my Clyde. I'm not running away from love this time. Yeah. Oh, let me be your Bonnie and you be my Clyde. Yeah. So that would have been a nice song.
Bonnie and Clyde is a rough combination of girl and boy, you know.
Because
Naughty,
I'm
notorious,
honest. I'm being honest
nasty.
to my inner demons.
To your inner self.
The inner demons that
to
are just there.
Anela.
I'm as wild as they come. Like sometimes I just be like, what?
The music keeps
who
me
is
at
this?
bay, but if only they knew.
It's only people who
If
keep
only
me in
they
check.
knew.
It's people who keep me in check. Like this other time where online, this person just said, Anela. So I took a picture. I was in France, and this guy, like, it's hilarious. This guy had a costume, and it was a dick and ball costume. We did that, but
yes.
so and the time I did that, I actually got insulted by somebody using a fake account about yo isakuwa vele, because we all know that you like dick. Like for some odd reason, I like this, and this is the worst ever description about me. Like, because yes, I date guys and so on, but I don't really like dick. Yeah. I'm not that fascinated.
Crazy.
I'm like
Now you've been there, you've got
I've
better
done that.
things.
But
You've been there, done it.
So
Got scars to prove it.
my whiteness is only because I'm like yo, like I'm from a Khayelitsha, yabo. Like and at some point I always jokingly say, I think my twin brother left a part of me from himself inside of me. So it always comes out. So the definition of Bonnie and Clyde is a definition between the character that my partner holds and the character that I hold.
Where you can be free in doing whatever you want together.
He's crazy and I'm crazy, and how our crazies mix.
We crazy like that.
It becomes a Bonnie and Clyde type of thing. We've never had an encounter where we are driving and then there's someone trying to do something and then have a response to it. It's always like, if that happens, one of us will shock ourselves. We will shock ourselves.
Yeah,
and we'll
come back to life.
I was waiting for you to actually, and you would be like, but I was waiting for you to actually, and I'll be like, okay, so
let's stop waiting.
Yeah, let's stop waiting now. Let's just not get people disrespecting us and so on. And even when it's things about us getting woke, there's always that thing where you're definitely not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. Let's just let it be. And funny enough, it's not been like a lot of time for people to read each other. It's been a short space of time. And it also teaches us something about connection, about chemistry, about love, that we don't wait for years for love to grow. I think a person loves you from the onset. They see you and they've already decided that you are crazy and they're gonna.
It doesn't take 10 years.
You are the crazy type of crazy that's worth living for.
Yeah, right. Thank you. But unfortunately, our time has run out for today's show.
Really?
And
We need more time.
Don't worry, we're gonna come. Yeah, we're in the last minute, so we're gonna come back next time again, and we're gonna be so pleased to have you again and have more series. Today we were in the studio with the ever vivacious, the ever amazing Anela Jahmena, Reggae Connect Africa. Signing out, it's me, Rico Myers, and my hostess.
So, Sister Sekano, beautiful queen. What did you say? You can start the intro again.
Now we must have an outro.
Yes,
Have an outro.